So in assignment number 9, which is our last assignment in this unit, we're going to be writing linear inequalities. Let's go ahead and get started here with this first problem. It says Tina has $65 to spend on Christmas gifts, and she wants to buy Nerf footballs for her cousins, which cost $12 a piece, and art sets for her friends, which cost $9 per set. Write an inequality for the number of items she can buy. Well, we can start with this. If we let the Nerf footballs be X, and so I'm going to have these be X here. So that's $12 for each X. And then if we let the art sets be Y, that's $9 for each Y. We can write an equation that looks something like this. $12 for each X plus $9 for each Y. Well, that has to be less than or equal to $65 because she only has $65 to spend for her cousins. And so this is an expression that we could use to represent how many of each she could buy. And it will help us answer questions like this. Let's say she buys 4 Nerf footballs. And the question then is, how many art sets can she buy? Well, if she buys 4 Nerf footballs, remember the 4 Nerf footballs, that's what X is. So we're going to take 12 times 4, that's $48, plus 9Y, that has to be less than or equal to 65. And so we could subtract 48 from both sides, and we would get 9Y is equal to 65 minus 48, I think is going to be 17. And so then we would divide by 9. This is less than or equal to. If we divide by 9, then Y is less than or equal to 17 divided by 9 is going to be less than 2. It's going to be like 1.9 or 1.89, something like that. And so Y has to be less than that. And so the answer to this question is going to be that she can buy only 1 art set. She almost has enough money to buy 2 of them, but she doesn't. It has to be less than 1.9 art sets. And so the answer to the question is, how many can she buy? She can only buy 1 art set. Let's take a look at a different situation. Malik already has $32 saved up for his Christmas gifts, but he also saves at least $5 per week from his allowance. Now, sometimes he might save more, but he's going to save at least $5 every week. Write an inequality for the amount of money, which is Y, that he can have after X weeks. Well, if it's $5 per week, that's our slope, and he starts with 32. That's our y-intercept. And so we're going to have an equation that looks like this. Y, the amount of money, Y, is going to be at least, which is greater than or equal to, $5 times the number of weeks plus 32. So it could be more than that if he saves more than $5 per week. But he's going to save at least $5 per week, and that's going to be how much money he's going to be able to spend for his Christmas gifts. So that helps us answer questions like this. How much could he have after 6 weeks? Well, X represents the number of weeks that goes by, so we're going to take 5 times 6, which is 30, plus the 32, which means Y has to be greater than or equal to 30 plus 32, which is $62. So the answer to the question is $62 or more. So it's important to include the or more part because it could be more than $62. Let's take a look at one more. Zach went to Rise and Roll with $14. He bought 6 donuts and 4 cups of coffee. So let's let the donuts be X and the cups of coffee be Y. He bought 6 X's and 4 Y's, and he had enough money, which means that 6X plus 4Y had to be less than or equal to $14. So here's our inequality that represents the cost of donuts and coffee at Rise and Roll. And let's say we have a question similar to this. If a donut costs $1.50, now remember, a donut is what X is, so we're going to stick $1.50 in for X. It's going to be 6 times $1.50, which is 9, plus 4Y is less than or equal to 14. And the question asks, how much is a cup of coffee? Well, that's what Y is. We're going to solve for Y. We could subtract 9 from both sides, which means 4Y is going to be less than or equal to 5. And if I divide by 4, y is going to be less than or equal to 5 divided by 4, which is 1.25, which means the answer to the question is he can spend $1.25 per cup, or it could be less than that. Because all we know is that he had enough money. He could have had change, which means that it would not be $1.25. It would be less than that. But all we know is that it's $1.25 per cup or less. So that's what this assignment is about. We're still going to be graphing these inequalities in order to solve them. But that's what we are talking about here in assignment number 9.